Welcome to the art benefit for Beirut artists, curated and hosted by me. For who doesn't know me, I am Emira Karoud, and this art benefit is supported by Arab AMP, Limpan Radio, and Turn Up the Masses. Can you turn it off, please, Gully? We're honored and excited to be here with you today to present some of the best music and performance offered by artists from Lebanon and the US. We are grounded to believe that art is the best human experience and expression and language of resistance and solidarity. We came all together today to support our sisters and brothers artists in Beirut who experiences a horror beyond our understanding. We trust you find our sharing a reminder of a connection to each other beyond all borders and divisions. We want to take a moment to thank all participants, in particular Beirut artists who volunteered to share their creations with us today. All your donations from tonight, and the ones that came before tonight, of course, will go to the reputable organization's Lebanon Solidarity Fund, a fund jointly managed by the Arab Fund for Art and Culture, AFAC, and Culture Resources Al Mawrad Al Thaqafi, two independent organizations that are free from any political and religious affiliation. I want to overall stress that all these organizations are full transparent with every dollar you generously donate tonight. We also have visual art donated by US-based artists that were shared with you on the event's Facebook page. I will also share it in the chat room along with the link to donate for the event. For bidding, all you need to do is put a bid on whichever art that you like to bid on, and at the closing of the event, we will reach out to the winners. All donations will directly benefit Beirut artists in distress, help them recover their equipment, and get back on their feet to continue producing and sharing their art with their communities and the world. We would love you to join us tonight at the Music House and the nonprofit Turn Up the Mass here in Louisville, Kentucky, generously opened for a few of us due to limited size restrictions of COVID. But since it is only a streaming event online, we are happy to be able to incorporate wonderful artists submitting their art from Chicago, New York, Louisville, Lebanon, Paris, and Italy. None of this would have been possible without the heart and soul of the artists participating today. With that, we'll start with the first performance, which is a video of Tony Elia, photographs that he took of the explosion of August 4th. Tony is a musician and self-taught photographer based in Beirut. He's also a bass player, co-founder of the disbanded Scrambled Eggs, and active in the improv scene both locally and beyond. And with that, I will start the video for you.
Sure. Let me go get. I left them back there. I didn't know where I was going.
And now I will turn it to Tell Sounds. Tell Sounds is gonna play for us one of her songs from her recent album No Rise off of Equises. Natalie Shami, aka Tell Sounds, is Lebanese Chicago-based musician. She uses analog synthesizers to weave together drifting loops that evolve in tandem with her vocal leads and choral harmonies. Recently, she released like Love, Sick, and Equisis have received much critical acclaim and have been covered in publications such as Pitchfork, NPR, The Fader, and Chicago Reader. The Fader referred to Shami as one of the America's most compelling do-it-yourself artists. The Chicago Reader identifies her as a crucial contributor and even one of the faces of the city's contemporary avant-garde electronic scene. With that, I will turn it to Tell Sound.
Thank you all, and thank you to Amira for putting this together. I hope everyone's doing well, and you have an amazing lineup. Please continue to watch and donate whatever you can. Um, Yay, Lebanon. Proud to be Lebanese. And thank you. Love you. Bye bye.
Like children, I dream of swings. They heard me singing and said it must be the sound of the wind. Oh, sweet breeze, my heart is ill, and my heart and eyes have seen too much. My poor heart has seen too much. Raise the swings for the children of love. Raise the swings for those who stayed and those who departed. They heard me singing and said it must be the sound of the wind. Oh, sweet breeze, my heart is ill. If there is room left in the heart, if there is room left, keep a home for Beirut.
مثل الأطفال عم بحلم بالمراجيح مثل الأطفال عم بحلم بالمراجيح سمعوني بغني قالوا صوت الريح سمعوني بغني قالوا صوت الريح يا نسيم يا عليل أنا والله قلبي عليك يا نسيم يا عليل أنا والله قلبي عليك وانا قلبي وعيني شافوا كتير
نسيم يا عليل أنا والله قلبي عليل لو باقي بيوت بالقلب لو باقي بيوت لو باقي بيوت خلوه بيت البيروت.
Arrangement and recording was by Nancy Munir and composer and vocalist Amel Kawesh. Phaedra is a dancer. She comes from a background in instrumental and vocal music and a musical theater. She regularly performs and teaches belly dance and workshop and classes in Chicago and throughout the US, hoping to spread enthusiasm and respect for Middle Eastern dance. She was crowned Queen the Venerable by Saida Helou in her first and only competition in 2019. Amel Kawesh is a composer and vocalist of Marajah. She's born in Lebanon. She is Palestinian songwriter, vocalist, and illustrator. She has studied Arabic singing in Beirut and collaborated with various local and international musicians. Nancy Munir, the arranger and recording of Marajah. She's born in Egypt. She is a multi-instrumentalist and a music arranger. She's the violinist and arranger of the first all-girl band in Egypt, Massive Scare Era. Nancy collaborates with artists from the Arab region and several Egyptian artists such as Masar Ejberi, Aida El Ayoubi, and Dina El Wadid, with whom Nancy was the main arranger in her debut album that featured the Grammy Award winner Gilberto Gil, sorry. And next we will have a performance by Evelyn Akkad. She will share with us her experience of the explosion while she was in Beirut. She generously recorded a song for us, which she wrote back in 1975 at the beginning of the Civil War, which she found still relevant today. Evelyn is born and raised in Beirut. She's a professor emerite from University of Illinois and the Lebanese American University. She is one of the co-founder of Beit al-Hanan, a women's shelter in Beirut since 2008. She won several awards among Prix Phoenix 2001, France-Lebanon Award 1994, and International Educators Award. Evelyn published many books, among them one of my favorites, Wounding Words, Blessures des mots, Journal de Tunisie, The Wounded Breast, Intimate Journeys Through Cancer, Voyage en Cancer, and several other books. With that, I will leave you with the video of Evelyn Akkad.
First, I want to thank Amira Karaoud for pulling this event together. When the explosion hit me on the 4th of August in my home in Beirut, my apartment above the port, I didn't think I would make it. I thought I would be dead by now. And I'm so thankful that I can be with you tonight and talk about this and try to bring some awareness to the suffering of the Lebanese people. And I would like to start with a song I composed in 1975 when the war broke out in Beirut, this long war that we suffered from, the so-called civil war. One of the first songs that I wrote, I never thought that it could apply also to what we are living right now and what we lived on the 4th of August 2020. And the song said, the beaches, the childhood, the sea rolling over, my childhood memories, the house on the roof, my dreams and my joy, there is no more sunshine. There is no more hope. My country of dust has gone under the sea. The olive, the laughter, and the dreams, the bread partaken, the wine drunk in the evening, the hands that were intermingling, and all these old hopes. The vineyard, my aunt, the old comrades are gone forever, the balcony of happiness, shaven right from the sky, the orange, the cedar, the friend we were expecting to talk about tomorrow, the birds slaughtered in the early morning. There is no more sun, there is no more sunshine. My country of dust has gone under the sea. I compose in French, so I just gave you the translation of the song, this song that I never thought could apply also to the event we just lived and where I thought I was going to literally go under the sea, and because of the pull of the blast.
La mer se déferlant, mes souvenirs d'enfant, la maison sur les toits, mes rêves et ma joie. Il n'y a plus de soleil, il n'y a plus de soleil, mon pays de poussière est passé sous la mer. Il n'y a plus de soleil, il n'y a plus de soleil, mon pays de poussière est passé sous la mer. L'olive, les rires et le pain partagé, le vin bu dans le soir, les mains entremêlées et tous ces vieux espoirs. Il n'y a plus de soleil, il n'y a plus de soleil, mon pays de poussière est passé sous la mer. Il n'y a plus de soleil, il n'y a plus de soleil, mon pays de poussière est passé sous la mer. La vigne, ma tante et tous ces vieux copains à jamais disparu. Le balcon du bonheur rasé depuis le ciel. Il n'y a plus de soleil, il n'y a plus de soleil, mon pays de poussière est passé sous la mer. Il n'y a plus de soleil, il n'y a plus de soleil, mon pays de poussière est passé sous la mer. L'orange, le cèdre, l'ami qu'on attendait pour parler de demain, les oiseaux étranglés dans le petit matin. Il n'y a plus de soleil, il n'y a plus de
كم مرة بدنا نموت؟ كم حدا بدنا ندفن؟ كم كرسي بدهم يغيروا؟ كم كذبة بدهم يكذبوا؟ كم طبخة بدهم يطبخوا؟ كم طن أمونيوم بعد في تحتنا؟ كم مسرحية بدهم يعملوا؟ كم مرة بده يجي كلب تيحس بنبض تحت البيوت؟ كم مرتبين زعتر بدنا نضب بشنط السفر؟ كم كابوس بده يبلش أول ما نغمض عينينا؟ كم قلب بده ينعصر على هالبلد؟ كم يوم بعد بدنا طائرة بيروت تبطل تلمع من ورا شقف الإزاز؟ كم وقفة شحادة بدنا نوقف عبواب البنوكة تناخد مصرياتنا؟ كم يوم بعد بدنا تيبطل حيالله صوت يرعبنا؟ كم غيمة سودا بدها تضل مخيلة فوق بيروت؟ كم فشخة بدنا نرجع لورا تنقرب وحدة لقدام؟ كم مرة بدنا نموت تيخلونا نعيش؟
A film produced by Eli Fahed. He's a Lebanese film director based in Beirut, known for his fashion films, always with a story and narration attached. Since October Revolution, the economic collapse, poverty, and almost famine, as well as the August 4th explosion, Ali Fahed focused his work in telling the stories of the Lebanese struggles through the most beautiful, poetic, and emotional touch. And I think you've experienced that. You've seen it right now. His film Fear of Fear was recently selected in Indie Film Festival in Indiana. We have with us today live Joe Conroy. He'll be joining us and playing the jumbush and the oud. Joe Conroy plays a wide range of string instruments in various genres, including Arab, Indian, Asian, bluegrass, Celtic, and Eastern European music. He leads his own pan-idiomatic music ensemble, Oud Grat, which has released several records, and he has appeared in many more with other artists. With that, I'll turn the microphone to Joey Conroy.
Well, that's the Zumbush. This is a oh yeah. This is a an instrument invented in Turkey, but the Kurds use it mostly. It's a nice instrument for playing their music. They have several tunings that are unique to them. I've tried them all, and none of them make sense to this Western ear. So I'm going to switch over to the oud, an instrument that is a classic Arabic instrument. Thank you. And now, back to our hostess.
Thank you very much, Joey. Thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. And next, we'll have a video that is shared by Marwan Kamel and Farnaz Khoshsirat with their performance "The Phoenix from the Ruins," or in Arabic, Anaqa al-Atlal. Marwan is an artist based in Chicago. He is a multi-instrumentalist who plays and performs on violin, guitar, bouzou, oud, nai, and hand percussion, as well as others. His work's lifelong vision explores the colloquial texture of Western punk and experimental music and their boundaries and interaction with melodical complex maqam melodies. He has composed original music for some small-scale films and has performed internationally with various projects at festivals such as Richard Thompson's Meltdown Festival and South by Southwest and Sundance Film Festival. He also hosts a weekly live loop-in show on Istanbul-based Root Radio. You can see it online, and I will share it with you in the chat. With City of Jinn, he is currently collaborating on an upcoming project for the University of Hawaii. Farnaz is an Iranian light artist and designer. She's based in Chicago. Her work focuses mainly on video and sculpture. Strong influences of her work include a curiosity for the sublime and paradise, as well as elements of Persian pattern works and motifs symbolizing light and nature. Khoshsirat has shown work in Genius Lucci Wimmer Festival, Zakayab, and Pixels Fest. She also designed creative content and VGs for musicians including Ali Azimi, City of Jinn, The Silver Groom, and Spring Awakening. Marwan and Farnaz's performance will be followed by another dance by Phaedra, On the Road. This piece was filmed in the moment, improvised to the sound of the oud played by Amru. Amru is a highly talented musician, composer, and oud player who has mastered a large number of styles using different techniques, approaches, and textures. He began to teach himself to play oud at age of 14. He had performed more than 500 concerts and at various interfaith programs in Chicago. During the last 10 years, Amru's compositional and performance skills have grown in sophistication, resulting in him composing music for anti-war video documentaries, No More War, Hope, Abir, The Fragrancy of My Life, Endless, and The Window. Beyond his onstage performance, he's also a voice and a piano instructor. With that, I will leave you with these two performances. So next we have the amazing Miriam Bezit, Egyptian immigrant writer, singer, playwright, and performance artist. I get to say they're also plant lover with a green thumb and a great cook and host. Miriam has several years experience spread into thin. They have been the recipient of fellowship residency from Asian American Writer Workshop, the Hemispheric Institute at NYU, Lemba Literary, Malay Colony in Hedgebrook. They will read to us tonight their most recent writing on President Macron's visit to Lebanon after the Lebanese explosion, titled Even in Gaza, People Are Donating Blood. With that, I hope you enjoy it. Miriam is amazing.
Hello? Okay, I think it is streaming. My apologies for that. Thank you all for being here. I just had a couple of things to say about what I'm about to read today. Thank you, Amira, for organizing this. Thank you for asking me to be part of it. It feels good to do even the tiniest thing useful in solidarity with Lebanon. I often find that writing from a place of anger works better for me than sadness. So this is a zine that I started, and it's still in progress, so it's not finished. You're hearing a work in progress today. And I started it in response to Macron's address from Beirut 2 days after the blast, which I think of as his hashtag no blank checks speech. It sounded very, very colonial mastery. So I wrote in response to that. Sharing screen, and what I'm sharing screen is like a picture, is like a PDF basically. So you may not see a lot of the text, you will hear me read it, but I hope you get the idea. And French, because I do not speak it. And because fuck them. Okay, here we go. Even in Gaza, people the blast into the issue then by addressing himself on the second grounds of the bon Dieu, and amid even untold destruction. Still rather grand French embassy building in the devastated Arab state of Liban. And with on one side of him flags of the EU and France, and on the other side of him banner of Lebanese cedar, to ministers, members of parliament, gentlemen. French President Emmanuel Macron, henceforth in this poem referred to as French President Emmanuel Macarona, 2020, and in so doing, looks really rather red. Oh, 1 second, it's not. Something is wrong with the PowerPoint. It's not working. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, that's better. It is the second day after the blast, and the French President Macarona is addressing the mortar had been intended originally for a casino, palace, grand uncle of future French President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, about which this poem will have more to say. François-Georges Picot, murderer and main negotiator with a British fellow named Sykes, of the Sykes-Picot Agreement, detailing how it is they'd like everything in Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria trenched up, if you please. It is the second day after the blast, and Baba Macarona addresses cameras and crowd from the French embassy building in Liban, whose design was itself inspired from another building, this one in Maroc, that had also once upon a blighted time housed a Frenchman, Louis Hubert Gonzalve Lioté, dubbed the French Empire Builder, who, among other things to commend him, was son of a highly decorated Napoleonic general, a great believer in the moral and political importance of the elite, of the civilizing mission that is both birthright and duty to the superior races. The colonial overseer who, with some small words in French, would relocate Morocco's capital, not to mention Moulay Yusuf, its very sultan, a whole 200 kilometers west from Fes in the interior, where things were getting dangerous, to Ribat on the coast by the sea. So it'd be easier for l'UET, in case of rébellion indigène, to run. France's most infamous, at the time, homosexual, speaking for the homosexuals. If we could give him back, truly we would. And who served in Indochina from 1894 to 1897, in Madagascar from 1897 to 1902, in Morocco from 1903 to 1910, and as Minister of War in 1917, literally the fucking Minister of fucking War, and whose crimes in 1931 earned him a place on the cover of Time. And who was a man known to like hot climates and the masculine company of young officers, which sometimes can just be the English way of saying, the French way of saying, he really very much enjoyed black and Arab dick, of which he would have had a surplus supply in the 70,000 to 200,000 troops of his Armée d'Afrique, made of entire battalions, go big or go home, of tirailleuses sénégalaises, which is what all the black ones were called, tirailleuses marocains, tirailleuses algériens, tirailleuses tunisiens, plus the occasional goumier marocain whose 70,000 to 200,000 bodies fought in World War I on the side of France. But what's a tirailleur, you ask? It is the term eventually applied to infantry indigenous to the colonial territories, originally used in Napoleon's army to describe light infantry trained to skirmish ahead of the main columns, which is to say, units trained to be disposable. I wanted to keep that space at the bottom there text-free, because once you take the mics and the tie away, what's left over looks very much like a big cock. It is the second day after the blast, and French President Emmanuel Macron, who on French soil, on Lebanese soil, addresses the assembled in front of a building inspired from a different building, lying as a bird might fly 2,407 miles west and 3,675 miles as a car might attempt through purportedly post-colonial Europe to drive. To say, I feel a deep sadness, but also solidarity in the face of the anger and rage rife in the country at the moment. And that in such times, the only thing one can do is stand by the side of those in need. And that solidarité, fraternité, are things that they believe in France. And that France will never give up, and that France will never give up on Lebanon, and that France will never give up on the people of Lebanon, its men and its women, and that France and Lebanon's futures and destinies are tied together because of our history, because of our shared past, our culture, our dreams, and that Lebanon had been hit at its very heart as a nation, but that with the beating heart of Lebanon, it is the beating heart of France that has been struck. That I offer my condolences, though I have no count yet of the number of French citizens directly affected, but that there have been thousands, tens of thousands of Lebanese men and women who've been affected, and to whom I extend my thoughts. and that France will provide as much assistance as possible, and that France has already sent out 3 planes, 2 military, and 1 from CGM, and that France will provide civil security forces and emergency health workers who'd already helped some 500 wounded, and that all of France is standing by the side of the Lebanese people, and that France would be sending an amphibious helicopter carrier to provide medical support as soon as it was done with whatever it was doing on a different, unrelated mission in France, and that solidarity will continue, and that it will continue because we need to continue, and that solidarity will take the form of medical care, food, building materials to help to rebuild neighborhoods, and that on the second day after the blast, he would like to thank the French companies that have already come up to the plate to promise equipment, construction materials to help in our efforts. And that the Minister of Foreign Affairs had already made lots of phone calls to Europe to recruit a support team, which would provide funds for medical equipment, food, housing, and other absolute essentials, but that on the second day after the blast, that funding needs to be so transparent. Because this French aid, international aid, it has to go directly to the people, to the NGOs, to the people working in the field who need that financial aid. And that we have to avoid any form of embezzlement, any form of that money being used or misused, and therefore we need to be able to determine what the exact needs are so that the international community on the second day after the blast can know exactly where the money is going. And that time now on the second day after the blast is divided between before the explosion and after the explosion. Because this explosion rang out like an awful call throughout the world, a call of despair. Because the Lebanese people have been tried, and they are tired. But that I know they'll be able to stand on their own 2 feet again, because they've been tried and tested in the past. And the Lebanese people are able to stand on their own 2 feet and recover. We have seen it happen before. And the 4th of August would already stand like a metaphor on the second day after the blast for the current crisis that Lebanon is facing, as already a metaphor on the second day after the blast for a country that on the second day after the blast we cannot help anymore. A country that has now been left to its own devices, that has been abandoned. But I think this message on the second day after the blast can be a message of great hope. And I want to say to all the Lebanese men and women, the youngest generations, I want to say to all of you that we will continue to stand by your side, even beyond the emergency relief that we'll provide on the second day after the blast. And the French foreign minister had just been there a few weeks ago, well before and having nothing to do with the blast, and spoke of the 15 million euros that will be invested in only Francophone schools, and the creation of new only Francophone schools. And that by September, we'll be able to go further, above and beyond, to support Francophone schools here in Lebanon, to be able to provide them with the financial tools necessary to support the younger generations. And that we have partnerships with private donors, and we have to use these partnerships to provide Lebanese students to attend schools and universities overseas through the creation of a bursary and a scholarship system, because education knowledge is so powerful on the second day after the blast. There's none of it apparently to be had in Lebanon. And that is why schools and universities are so important for the younger generations. They need to keep on learning. They need to find that love of freedom, and to understand that with that freedom comes a number of obligations. And it's for them on the second day after the blast to learn those as well. And that when darkness comes across the world, it is easy on the second day after the blast. to so often forget why we fight certain fights, and that we often lose sight on the second day after the blast of the fact that there are other possibilities, that there is something far greater on the second day after the blast than our quotidian struggles, knowledge, truth, individual freedom of expression, because the freedom of expression, freedom of the press, the ability to create, all of these things will have to continue in the future in Lebanon, but that there are also, on the second day after the blast, economic concerns. And that for the past 2 years, we have been holding meetings in Paris to come up with an economic solution. Reforms on the second day after the blast, on one hand, and international aid. And that these Cedar conferences have called on the international community to provide that financial assistance, but that all of it is hinged on the second day after the blast upon one thing: reform. And I hope there will be hope in the future, that this call that I'm sending out on the second day after the blast, and that I shared with Michel Aoun, with all representatives of political factions, that I call on them on the second day after the blast to take responsibility, because it is time for them to act. And they have to rebuild trust, confidence, and hope, and that it won't happen overnight, but that in order to do that, it requires a new political order on the second day after the blast. A political order where we go beyond political groupings that people are feeling entrenched in. And it is a political order that has been captured by other outside forces. And that to be done on the second day after the blast, within an international framework of cooperation, so that the Lebanese can work with the International Monetary Fund. And I personally will fight for the people of Lebanon, for that international solidarity to be there to support you, for the IMF, for the World Bank and others, but I cannot stand in the place of your political leaders who have been elected. And it is their sovereign right, but also their sovereign duty to assume that responsibility. They need to renew their pact with the Lebanese people, and that requires expectations, great humility. But it also requires them to hold themselves up to a higher bar. And that it is not up to me on the second day after the blast, or France on the second day after the blast, to tell the Lebanese leaders on the second day after the blast. It is up to them. And when times are tough, we will be there to provide assistance. But that on the second day after the blast, and while even in Gaza, people are donating blood, we will not write a blank check. A blank check to a government that has no faith in it from its people. And that is why in the coming weeks, I sincerely hope that we will see great honesty. We will see change. On the second day after the blast, I spoke to all the minuters, said, I need clear answers in terms of freedom, democracy, reform, transparency, and de-corruption measures. Having spoken to them, I believe that they are able to bring about such reform. And I will be back on the 1st of September, 27 days after the blast. I will be back, not just to mark another step in history, since the 1st of September marks almost 100 years since the birth of Lebanon. I will be here not only to observe that anniversary, but I will be here because Lebanon needs to make a leap forward. And there is no other way forward for a modern Lebanon. And France knows how important the friendship that exists between our two countries is. And my thoughts on the second day after the blast go out to the 58 French soldiers who died in numerous attacks here in Lebanon. We know the pain of this country, we in France. But we also know that when we stand together, we can overcome any difficulties, any challenges. And we know that the Lebanese people are capable of overcoming this challenge, and that is why I am here today. I am here today to remind you to never forget that despite the challenges of the day, of the current moment, that there are European people, the European continent, who are listening to you, who feel the beating heart of Beirut, because we know that this is a people and a nation that love freedom. And that here we are dealing with a nation of people surrounded by other countries, by other conflicts, and that this region is rife with terrorism, with so much other backwards thinking. By the way, this is where people start to clap for the very first time in the whole address. Of the countries in the area, we know that Lebanon, on the second day after the blast, is a country of hope. So whenever there is doubt in your minds, remind yourselves that we are here. And that whenever you have a fight that is worth fighting, we will stand by your side. And that whenever you are wondering on the second day after the blast what we are thinking in Paris, remember these 3 words. بخبك يا لبنان. Because it is likely, on the second day after the blast, that the Lebanese people, its men and women, on the second day after the blast, are wondering what people they don't know in Paris might be thinking. That was it. Thank you all for listening to all of that. I hope you could see some of the images. Thank you again, Amira, for asking me. That is everything.
Here we are. Sorry, there's so much. It's very hard to tell over the internet. It's very confusing when you don't have the audience right in front of you.
Here we are.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, there's so much.
Thank you very much, Miriam. That was amazing. We all hope that there will be hope for the future for Lebanon and also for us, even here in the US. So the next performance, we will share with you a performance of John Silpayamanant. John's performance will be followed by another short film produced by Eli Fahed, titled Ilyas Khouri, and one more song by Evelyn Aqad. I'm going to present quickly John Silpayamanant, born in Thailand. He's an intercultural multi-instrumentalist, composer, and a music educator based in the Greater Louisville. As a biracial Thai American with musical families on both sides of the world, he has been navigating musical code switching and musicality for much of his life, and uses that experience to inform his understanding of how music ecosystem interact, hybridize, and create system of exclusion. With that, I will leave you with the next 3 performances.
الياس، أنا ما بعرفك ولا بعرف أي أفلام بتحب ولا أكتر موسيقى بتحب تسمعها ولا قد ايه بتحب رفقاتك. ولا بعرف شو كان بدك تصير لما تكبر، بس بعرف أنه في عالم كانوا يناموا ل6 سنين عم خداتهم، هو وفي قنبلة تحت المدينة اللي أنت عايش فيها. حاسس بدي أقلك كتير اشياء، بس كله بيروح قدام رفقاتك اللي حاملينك عكتافن. بدي أعتذر منك أنه بعد ما حدا تحاسب نحن وعم نودعك. الياس بوعدك ما رح ننساك، وحياة هالضحكة أنه ما رح ننساك.
This is another one of my songs that I composed also in 1975 when the war broke out in Lebanon. And it's a song that I think also applies to the tragedy that we lived on August 4th, 2020. The song says, it's a song that I composed the words and the music. So I'll translate it because I write in French the words. It says, it was one morning in a camp of forgetfulness. It was one morning in a camp that she said, I want to live. It was one morning in a camp of hunger. It was one morning that she said, rise up. I want to live to erase fear. I want to live to erase shame. I want to live to erase forgetfulness. I want to live to teach my sister how to walk with her head up. It was at noon in a broken up city. It was at noon in a war that she said, I want to live. It was at noon on a burnt up road. It was at noon in hatred that she said, let's go. Let's walk together to erase fear. Let's walk together to erase shame. And let's walk together to erase hatred. Let's work together and let's walk together to teach our sister to walk her head up. It was at night when the bombs were falling. It was at night that she said, I want to live. C'est un matin dans un camp de l'oubli. C'est un matin dans un camp qu'elle a dit, je veux vivre. C'est un matin dans un camp de la faim. C'est un matin dans un camp qu'elle a dit, lève-toi. Je veux vivre pour effacer la peur. Je veux vivre pour effacer la honte. Je veux vivre pour effacer l'oubli, pour apprendre à ma sœur à relever la tête. C'est à midi, dans une ville déchirée. C'est à midi, dans la guerre, qu'elle a dit, je veux vivre. C'est à midi, sur un chemin brûlé. C'est à midi, dans la haine, qu'elle a dit, allons-y. Ma
Marchons ensemble pour effacer la peur. Marchons ensemble pour effacer la honte. Marchons ensemble pour effacer l'oubli. Pour apprendre à notre sœur à relever la tête.
Here we are again. We have with us here John Paul Wright. John Paul is an American folk musician, writer, and poet, also of a Lebanese heritage. His creative work is inspired by his deep connection to places and people of his daily work. He is a retired railroad locomotive engineer and now a steamboat engineer working on the Ohio River. John will share with us tonight some of his poetry and music of his lifelong time repertoire. Hold on one second. I hope. Wait.
So hello, I'm really excited to be a part of this. As Amira said, I have Lebanese culture, Lebanese heritage, but my whole life sort of has been spent not really feeling very connected to it. A large immigrant community came to Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville, back in the 1940s and 50s, back when that wave, I guess first wave really of Lebanese immigrants came to the United States. And my grandfather Melik fathered a family of 15 children and 18 eventually that he took care of. And he owned a bar on East Jefferson Street in Louisville, Kentucky. My mother was the youngest of all of his children, Glenda Melik. So this Lebanese culture has been, it's been gobbled up now by history, and really the community has, I guess they call that assimilation. They've been assimilated into so they're really not much to grab a hold of except through music for me. And today I'm going to be performing a fiddle tune that we have in our folk music repertoire of Kentucky and Louisville and United States. We have folk music that are specific to a certain region. And I guess this would be a folk song, folk tune, a fiddle tune. This is a mandolin. This is an innovation of the United States, really, where we took a European instrument and smashed it into something else and created this F-style mandolin. Bill Monroe from Kentucky made this famous. So I'm going to be playing a fiddle tune from that region of the United States that I composed called Calamese Creek. It's a place that I grew up in, Breckinridge County. But I'm going to be doing an improvisation to get there to that fiddle tune. I'm a very big fan of the oud. Hamza al-Din from Egypt is one of my favorite oud player musicians, and Simon Shaheen, of course, because of my grandfather was a Fairuz fanatic, and I have his records. And that's pretty much my only connection, really, to Lebanese culture, is through my grandfather, who I only have known through pictures of his bar and his chanting at the Greek Orthodox Church. So this piece is called Calamese Creek, with an improvisation. Yeah. So Calamese Creek is a creek that runs through Breckinridge County through very close to western Kentucky. And a lot of the times when people think of bluegrass music and Kentucky folk music, they think of eastern Kentucky. But really, bluegrass music was born in western Kentucky through Bill Monroe, which is where I spent pretty much my entire childhood. My entire childhood on this river in this creek. And there's a sense of place idea of being really drawn and feeling a part of something, or a part of a place, or maybe a part of a community, or a part of a river, or a part of something that you just really defines you as a person. Some people need that, some people don't. But I was down there for 2 months. I get furloughed every once in a while working on the river because I'm a seasonal employee, and I spent 2 months pretty isolated down there in the country, in the rural part of Kentucky. And I came home to basically my town at war with whatever it was that was going on. We had this Breonna Taylor case that was a situation, and people were screaming, "Say her name, Breonna Taylor." And the civil rights was in the streets, more than I've ever seen in my entire life. And National Guard troops were being assembled, and the police departments, and guns, and helicopters. And for somebody who's never grown up in a war zone, it was the closest I think that I've ever seen to that. And I came from very quiet place. Frogs, birds, and trees, and to helicopters and flash grenades and people going to the hospital and jail. And so I wrote this right as I was coming back to town. Really just to how this poem really just, this narrative is to how comfortable I felt around all of the insanity that was around me. I live in probably one of the most busiest parts of Louisville, and probably the largest populated area of Louisville. An unloaded firearm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like that, and nothing phases me anymore. I'm a working class hero. I brought tart candies home to my loving son. This father gig is my life work. Every mindful step taken is anarchist thought in action. Police checkpoints and fear in the streets. Work tonight on the wharf was ominously quiet. Ferguson didn't show up. He calls me Pop. I talk to him, and he is sometimes on it. And then he snaps. His mother died in 2013. Father's drunk. A South Side Chicago boy down south and innocently lost. When he breaks, God is his witness too. He is not like the rest of these people. Like that woman who works these nice city riverfront parking lots. She sucks dicks for drugs. Self-description. She stays at the 10th Street. Everything she owns is stolen all the time, and nothing phases me anymore. Like Mississippi fighting with whomever he is sleeping with to keep warm. His niece came down once to check on him, and she said he is fucked up. Mama gives him $5 just to go away. When I was young, I read about Mandela, Botha, and necklacing, putting burning tires around people's necks in the opposition and burning them. Mom was fighting institutional racism, but it was abolish apartheid to me when Mom went to speak at the United Nations. Ray didn't come back. He taught my sister how to read tarot, gave me an arrowhead for Christmas. He was the first person I ever knew of to die of AIDS. And now I'm here at this place where for 3 years I saved myself from severe, deep, dark depression, lonesome depression, and agony. And now I'm on the other side of this life hurricane that sometimes brings me to great sorrow, tears, and joy. I strategically hide more and more of these lasting moments. Because once I built a railroad, and it almost run over me, and woe is me, and nobody likes a complainer, and nothing phases me anymore. Tomorrow or the next day, they will do what they always do, and we will be forced to do what we always do. I'm a wage slave, and so are you. And nothing phases me anymore now that this is the new normal. Police arrogantly blocking roads, blue lines drawn with LED flashing lights that brighten a quiet city sky, National Guard staging barricades and helicopter blades mixing with the late summer's cicadas song. And it's give me an F, give me a U, give me a C, give me a KKK, because it's us against whatever socially transmitted media narrative that is going to be ruling this common thread. Fear has strangled the days and hours that go by without closure. Trump is a big brother, and funny Uncle Sam is at it again. And that is why nothing phases me anymore. If there is a lower class, I am in it, because I am poor, but happy. And if there is a criminal element, I sympathetically resonate with people who live on the fringes of society. We are all in this together. I am a rebel without a place. This compassionate city is not my home. The reality of this surface noise, I hear the distance. I hear the planes. I hear this there and this place and that place, and it's a paradoxical loophole to enter into. Escape into what could be. Escape into what could be. Make way and make peace. Make space. From eye to eye, an opening. From eye to eye opening. We work. Dreaming we burn. First we step and we walk. Keep your hands busy. Keep searching. We only have so far to go. So that was the narrative. I write with my phone now these days. Gutenberg be damned. I'm sure like the people before Gutenberg were like, yeah, that damn Gutenberg, I don't know, it's the end of the world, we're never good. So this is my, like, people buy like really expensive pencils and paper and like the little groovy moleskin thing, journal and stuff. No, for me it's the iPhone. So this is another poem. I want to say that the day that I saw the explosion happen in Beirut and I found out that it was ammonium nitrate that caused the problem, I used to transport ammonium nitrate on the railroad, and I know what 80 tons of ammonium nitrate can do. Ammonium nitrate is what we are poisoning the Ohio River with. It's also what we are poisoning our farm fields with. Ammonium nitrate is an agricultural product. And after World War II, the United States geared up to basically fight a war against land and its people, which is what Wendell Berry said, almost exact quote. So when we are talking about ammonium nitrate exploding in Beirut and leveling blocks and blocks and blocks of places and people and communities, this is a war crime. It may have been an agricultural crime. It may have been a massive accident. Who knows? But it is a crime that is using a material that is used for war purposes, otherwise known as bomb materials. So it moved me very deeply to see that this is the same stuff that ends up into the water table, that ends up into the Gulf of Mexico from the United States, from farm fields. So much solidarity to the people who are suffering from this same war crime that we are dealing with over here with our agriculture that was stolen by industrial farming. So this is called A Running Narrative, and this is my most recent work. And this will be my last piece. And thanks, Amira, for asking me to be a part of this. This is very much an honor to be sitting here. This is called A Running Narrative. Spending time with my father, a caretaker I can be. I'm a good son, a good lover, good friend. The TV is on all day, a news cycle, over and over. The president gets the best treatment. The homeless, all day we talk about 200,000 people who have died. Is that the mask of society or blinders? Poverty kills, and is that not a pandemic? Factory work kills souls. Anyone tracking that number? The POTUS and thoughts. You don't ask questions when God is on your side. Oh, my name, it means nothing. Oh, my age, it means less. And the country that I come from is called the Midwest. And you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. We were not taught to mourn the death of our enemies. Nobody even cared. We have been at war with terror since I got out of high school, and I am 50 years old. How Orwellian is that? So, Mr. President, and all ye masters of war, what Bob Dylan said. Amen. Johnny Paul. So thank you very much for involving me in this, in solidarity to the artists and the people of Beirut.
Thank you very much, John. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, much. Thank you.
John is a big repertoire, and I like to. He's an activist too, as you can tell. So I like to get into conversation with him. He knows so much about everything here in the U.S. and outside of the U.S., and his perspective is always rich and insightful. After John, we're going to have the next performances. The first one is going to be by Gay Lady Do You, followed by another piece of Phaedra Derwish. Gay Lady Do You are wife and wife pair of performers based in Louisville, Kentucky. They find peace and purpose in their art, which takes a place almost entirely in the air, twisting and turning on a myriad of aerial apparatus, including lyra, chains, ladder, cube, rope, silk, and trapeze. With years of professional training and performing experience, Gay Lady Dio is known across the eastern United States from Vermont to North Carolina. Their audiences are always impressed by their strength and skill, but also express their awe of the love and passion that Gay Lady Dio exhibits every time they perform. The piece they share with us today is titled Coalesce, will be followed by another performance, which I forgot to name at the beginning, of Marwan and Fernez. It's called Primordial. And after that, we will have another performance of Phaedra. Hani Eddahshans will be the composer of the music. The piece is called Above the Clouds, فوق السحابي. Hani is born and raised in Abu Dhabi. His music was one of Hani's first talents of recognition. He traveled with the Jordanian Arabic Ensemble to the Euromed Youth Music Expo Festival in Cyprus to represent Jordan. And he currently resides in Chicago and is united with the best Arab musicians in the city, the Diwan El Hen Ensemble, and Quanist and vocalist as well. With that, I will leave you with the next three performances. Okay, and next performance by Lime Ricky International, titled City and World, composed, performed by Leah Munatawil, and video by Ricardo Esway, Frame Pusher Media. So for the last performance, last and not least, we have Naxo, Egyptian multidisciplinary sound artist and sound healer based in Chicago. Naxo is a fusion music project of Middle Eastern North African folklore within groovy electronic, polyrhythms, and drumming structure influenced by rock, jazz, trap, trance, and psychedelic music. Naxo opened Hello Psychalepo at Yella Punk in Philadelphia and featured on Philly Weekly and Chicago Reader. With that, I will leave you to enjoy DJing with Naxo for the next half hour. And I would like to make sure that I thank again all participants that came together today. Tony Elia, Joey Conroy, Tel Sounds, Phaedra Derwish, Nancy Munir, Amel Kawash, Evelyn Akkad, Eli Fahd, Marwan Kamel, Farnaz Khush Sirat, Amru, Mariam Bazid, John Silpayamanant, John Paul Wright, Gay Lady Dio, Naxo DJ, and Lai Murky. And thank you again for the support from Arab AMP, Limpin Radio, and Tune Up the Masses that help us with the sound today and hosted us here. Thanks to everyone who joined us, everyone who donated. We will share with you the video of today's performance. So please share and help raise more funds for Lebanon Solidarity Fund. We will continue to receiving funds for the next week, and we will be back in the next half hour. I hope you enjoy it, and please dance and have a great rest of a Sunday.
محبوسين بوهم الشخصيات بنخاف من الحب ومن العرافات مشتهوش أنا مشتهوش أنا جيت أعيش ومشقيش أنا من الحب والعرافات مشتهوش أنا خليني أعيش بلمحه عيني خليني أعيش بلمحه عيني خليني أعيش بلمحه عيني خليني أعيش بلمحه
يا ويلك يا ابو الوجه الحار والغالي عقلبي وحدك عالصخر مهدي وينك يا ابو الوجه الحار والغالي عقلبي وحدك عالصخر مهدي تحت ليام العريس ومتعنا لبس لو كلنا وين والغالي عقلبي وحدك عالصخر الهادي تحت السما جنينة روحي وفضة وذهب زي الناري هدي اصحابي والناس يرجعوا مرة يقولوا الوضع عريض ويرجعوا حرمات بس وكل زي الولود العرس تحت أيام العريس وبدعنا لبس لو كلنا وينك يا والغالي شكلي وحدك عالصخر مهدي
وتاسعهم سيأتي بعد الصيف، فهل ترغب؟ سجل. أنا عربي. أنا عربي وأعمل مع متجر، وأطفالي 8. أسر لهم رغيف الخبز ولا أتوسل الصدقات بالله، ولا أذكر أمام الله أعدائي. صبور في بلاد كل ما فيها يعيش بالفورة. قبل ميلاد الزمان الأسد وقبل تفتح الحقب، أبي من قصة المحراث لا من سادة النجب، وذكي كان فلاحا بلا حسب ولا نسب، يعلمني سموح النفس قبل قراءة الكتب. أنا عربي. أنا عربي. ولون الشعر فحمي، ولون العين بني، ومزاجي على رأسي عقال. فوق كوفية وكفي صلبة غساسة تخمش من يلامسها، وعنواني أنا من قرية عزلاء أمنت فيها الشوارع. ومن غضبي أنا
قلبي كل معاطل والشدة تنحايل يا يا ابويا بالدمع يا ابويا بالدمع يا ابويا يا ابويا بالدمع يا ابويا بالدمع يا ابويا والدمع يا ابويا بالدمع يا ابويا 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 من يوم انكسر بالباب ظل عمي صرت للهم يا ابويا وللحزن مهما ويا يا ابويا والدمع يا ابويا والدمع يا ابويا يا ابويا والدمع يا ابويا والدمع From the mountains to the sea. I don't care where you're from, where you're from. I don't care where you're from, where you're from. Baby, got the keys to your city. Anything